Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Very vibrant, huh? And if you couldn't catch the Swahili, it's all right. They stayed within our messaging. At the very end, I'm not really sure if that was a child being carried off, maybe the wife carrying off the husband. I'm not really sure. I couldn't really tell very well. Yeah, but I believe that's how they created that. So we're waiting the arrival of our, already with us, just to get into the hall, and then we'll proceed. I'll do the protocol introductions of the distinguished and esteemed VIPs at the high table. And we will then follow by requesting the Honorable Mwalimu, the Minister of Health, to speak. And then we'll go straight over to you, Amana Leticia Morris, National Council of People Living with HIV. You'll have a chance to speak. Waiting for your speech. You usually have the best speeches. Although it's called a political launch, you don't get political minutes. Oh, Leticia. So within about 2, 3, 4 minutes, if you could deliver, it would be great. And if, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, that's about the time allotted for everyone. And so with all the other speakers coming through, please just maintain your good pace and time. I'll be running this program with Dr. Catherine Joachim, and so we'll be sharing slots. Whenever there's a chance to go check whether the technicals are ready, I might be running off to do that, and we'll be roll calling the ministers for your statements. So please prepare for those. And once again, we're all speaking from this particular podium, and the other podium is reserved for our excellencies. We have 2 vice presidents joining us. It's quite unusual, but we've been able to do that, as the Zimbabwean vice president is also has the docket of Minister of Health and Child Care. Very relevant to our subject today with the Alliance. My good friends with technicals, just a quick one. After the Minister of Health Kenya and Uganda, we're going to move up the Côte d'Ivoire rep. Are we good with that one? Ready? Okay, great stuff. So let's make sure that our line is ready. And we'll also have a video, a 2-minute video from the Africa Director, WHO. And we're thinking... Thank you, let's take our seats. Karibuni tukae. Please take our seats. Your Excellency, Dr. Phillip Mpango, the Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, as you walked in, I was about to teach this august audience a bit of Swahili, the most relevant Swahili they need to know. The words kazi iendelee. The work has to continue. And we repeat that with what has become famous from our beloved President Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, who says, in the name of the United Republic of Tanzania, kwa jina la Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania, kazi iendelee. This is very pertinent work that we're doing here today, Your Excellency. I wish to introduce at the high table His Excellency, Retired General Dr. Constantine Chiwenga, Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care, Republic of Zimbabwe. Please put your hands together and applaud his presence here with us. I am sensitive to gender, and it's beautifully balanced at this table, except that it's basically on the left. And so I'll move over to you, Your Excellency, Mama Monica Gengos, First Lady of Namibia. Please be acknowledged. In the room, widely represented in the Alliance, the Honorable Ministers of Health, allow me to acknowledge the presence of the United Republic of Tanzania mainland and Zanzibar ministers, Mama Umi Mwalim, and Honorable Nasor Ahmed Mazrui. Tanzania has excellent relations, as we were discussing, with all of your countries. And to represent us ably at the high table is the Deputy Minister, Foreign Affairs and East Africa Cooperation. Please applaud the presence of Maruk Nasor Maruk, please. We're also truly honored to have Winnie Bianyima, UNAIDS Executive Director, present at the high table. Please acknowledge her presence. Karibu sana. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, karibuni sana. All protocols are observed. Kindly observe our excellencies and honorable ministers when you get your turn to speak. My name is Taji, and I'm happy to be joined by co-host MC, Dr. Catherine Joachim, whom we will share the distinguished program ahead of us. We extend a warm welcome to all of you to the second segment of our meeting today that marks the official launch of the Global Alliance on Ending AIDS in Children. Over the next few minutes, you will have the opportunity to hear commitment statements from the Ministers of Health of allied countries, and I have now the pleasure to set it off to invite the Honorable Umi Mwalim, Minister of Health, United Republic of Tanzania, to deliver her welcome remarks. Your Excellency, Your Honor, please join me at the lectern. Your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, sir.
Asante sana Taji, His Excellency Dr. Phillip Mpango, Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, His Excellency Retired General Dr. Constantini Chiwenga, Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care, Republic of Zimbabwe, Her Excellency Madam Monica Geigos, First Lady of Republic of Namibia, dear colleagues, honorable ministers of health from the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children and their representative, my dear sister, Winnie Bianyima, UNAIDS Executive Director. I would also like to recognize the presence of Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation of the United Republic of Tanzania. I'd like also to acknowledge the presence of Chairperson of the Parliamentary representative from the United Nations, representative from the Global Fund, PEPFAR, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, habari za mchana. Good afternoon. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to thank His Excellency Dr. Phillip Mpango, the Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for accepting our invitation to officiate this important launch of the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children. Tunakushukuru sana Mheshimiwa Makamu wa Rais. We know that as a father, promoting mother and child health has been a passion, including ending HIV/AIDS in children. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Makamu wa Rais kwa muda wako. I would also like to thank my dear sister, Executive Director of UNAIDS, Dada Winnie. No, I have to call you Dada because Uganda is just close to Tanzania. Dada Winnie Bianyima, for trusting Tanzania to host this important alliance, to host this important launch of the Global Alliance to End HIV/AIDS in Children. Tanzania strategic initiative. His Excellency, the guest of honor, the alliance consists of 12 countries: Angola, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Democratic Republic of Congo, Kenya, Mozambique, Nigeria, South Africa, Uganda, Tanzania, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. In Namibia is an observer. And we all agree that we need to end AIDS among children by 2030. We need to commit ourselves to the implementation of evidence-based plans to achieve this goal. As Ministers of Health of the Global Alliance to End HIV/AIDS in Children, the mother and child health is a top priority. We are determined to reduce all causes of maternal and child mortality and morbidity in our respective countries. The Alliance provides an opportunity to revitalize our commitment to this priority. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, I'm very pleased to inform you that Tanzania is the first country to join the Alliance. When I visited my dear sister in Geneva, May 2022, she told me about this important alliance, and she asked me whether Tanzania is ready to be part of the alliance, and then I didn't resist. I said yes, we are going to be the first country to join the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children. And I'd like to thank you, through you, Your Excellency, the Vice President, Her Excellency, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for blessing us to join this Global Alliance to End HIV/AIDS in Children. Honorable colleagues, Ministers of Health, I consider myself to be a very lucky minister, having worked with a president who is a woman, a female. At all, promoting maternal and child health has been a top priority for the President Samia since she was the Vice President of Tanzania. So whenever I have a problem on maternal and child health, my president is ready to support me. So I'm very lucky, to be honest. I think you should envy me. So thank you very much, Your Excellency, for blessing us to host this important event. But Tanzania is also commending this strategic initiative to end AIDS in children. The strategy aligns with our National Development Vision 2025 and the National 5 Years Development Plan 2021-2025-26, our Health Sector Strategic Plan 5, 2022-2025, Health Sector HIV Strategic Plan, and these strategies have identified children and young women that are not adequately covered with lifelong HIV treatment, and children are still born with HIV despite the availability of technology and modalities to prevent this. Tanzania is also targeting to reduce the rate of mother-to-child transmission of HIV to less than 4% by 2025 and to eliminate HIV, syphilis, and viral hepatitis B by 2030. We are looking at increasing the coverage of ART among children to 95%, as well as achieving viral load suppression of 95% by 2025. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to inform you that member countries for the Global Alliance to End HIV/AIDS in Children have been preparing action plans to take forward this strategic initiative since the decision was made by UNAIDS in May 2022. These action plans were produced through consultations among all stakeholders, ranging from government, civil society, women and young people living with HIV, and development partners. Yesterday, the technical teams from the 12 countries had peer discussions. We would like to recognize the presence of technical experts from the Republic of Namibia also for participating in this 2 days meeting. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, later you will witness the ministers or their representatives from 12 countries committing to implement the priorities outlined in the Global Alliance to Eliminate HIV/AIDS in Children by 2030 framework. Once again, let me thank you all for attending this important political launch of the Global Alliance to End HIV/AIDS. I'd also like to once again to thank UNAIDS for trusting Tanzania to host this important event. Also, allow me to thank the Global Alliance initiative partners and our development partners for their participation and commitment to end AIDS in children. I'd also like to thank our partners, especially the Global Fund, PEPFAR, civil society organization, faith-based organization, for attending this meeting, but also for their commitment and support in our efforts to end HIV/AIDS in children. Having said that, thank you very much for listening. Asanteni sana.
you very much, Honorable Minister. It's now my great pleasure, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, to welcome remarks from women and children living with HIV, Mama Leticia Morris, from the National Council of People Living with HIV. May I welcome you to the lectern with honor, and your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Karibu sana, Mama Leticia. Please prepare for the message from the Côte d'Ivoire after this.
Habari za mchana. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi Dr. Phillip Mpango, Makamu wa Rais wa Jamhuri ya Muungano wa Tanzania. Mheshimiwa Makamu wa Rais wa Zimbabwe Dr. Constantine Chiwenga. Mheshimiwa mama yetu kipenzi Uweni Bianyima, mkurugenzi mtendaji wa UNAIDS. Waheshimiwa viongozi wote meza kuu, wageni walikwa, mabibi na mabwana, itifaki imezingatiwa. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote katika uzinduzi wa muungano wa kimataifa wa kutokomeza virusi vya ukimwi kwa watoto katika ukanda wetu wa Afrika. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, wasichana balehe na wanawake vijana wameathiriwa kwa kiwango kikubwa ikilinganishwa na wenzao wa kiume. Kuongezeka kwa kasi kwa maambukizi mapya hasa miongoni mwa wasichana na wanawake vijana kunaongezeka hatari ya kuwa na idadi kubwa ya watoto wanaozaliwa na VVU, ikiwa afua za kuzuia maambukizi ya VVU kutoka kwa mama kwenda kwa mtoto hazitatekelezwa ipasavyo. Ili kutokomeza maambukizi mapya ya VVU kwa miongoni mwa watoto, vijana, balehe na kina mama, ni lazima tushughulikie ipasavyo ukosefu wa usawa wa kijinsia unaosababisha hatari kubwa miongoni mwa wasichana, balehe na wanawake. Tunapaswa kuwa na usawa katika matibabu kwa kufikia makundi yote bila ubaguzi, bila kumwacha nyuma yeyote, na toa rai kwa wanaume na wanajamii kwa ujumla kuunga mkono juhudi hizi, hasa kupinga unyanyapaa kwa VVU ili kuepuka kurudisha nyuma juhudi za muungano huu wa kimataifa. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, kupitia muungano huu ni muhimu kuwa na ushirikiano madhubuti kusaidia kutokomeza ukimwi ifikapo mwaka 2030. Hii inawezekana kufanyika kwa ushirikiano imara na wa kimkakati na wadau mbalimbali wakiwemo sekta binafsi, serikali na viongozi wa dini. Mfumo wa wajibikaji wa pande zote na uhamasishaji wa upatikanaji wa rasilimali watu na fedha ili kuharakisha kutokomeza VVU kwa watoto na kufikia lengo la kimataifa la kutokomeza ukimwi ifikapo 2030. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, VVU tuko mstari wa mbele kusaidia kufikia wenzetu wanaoishi na virusi vya ukimwi. Juhudi zetu zinalenga sekta zote na kwa kiwango kikubwa zimechangia kubakiza VVU wengi zaidi katika matibabu ili kuweza kufikia malengo ya 95. Vile vile tumejikita katika kupunguza changamoto za kiuchumi miongoni mwa vijana na wanawake wa VVU na wasio wa VVU ili kupunguza hatari ya kuambukizwa VVU kwa vijana, balehe, akina mama na hatimaye watoto. Sisi kama VVU tumejikita katika ujasiriamali, ndio maana tunajiunga katika vikundi wezeshi vya VVU tukijazishana ili kuepuka utegemezi. Mheshimiwa mgeni rasmi, mwisho ninaomba wadau wote tushirikiane kwa kuweka mikakati maalum katika kubuni na kufadhili afua mbalimbali za VVU katika kila nguzo ya mpango huu, kuanzia upimaji wa VVU, kuziba pengo la matibabu miongoni mwa makundi yote, kuzuia maambukizi mapya na kushughulikia changamoto za usawa wa kijinsia na ubaguzi kwa makundi maalum. Watu tunaoishi na virusi vya ukimwi tuko tayari kufanya kazi nanyi katika kuimarisha muungano huu na kuwezesha ushirikishwaji wa kimataifa na wa VVU ili kufikia kufikia malengo ya muungano huu. Naitwa Morris Kapela, ninaishi na maambukizi takribani miaka 26, ni mama mwenye familia ya watoto 6 na wote wako salama. Ninamshukuru Mungu, ninampenda Mungu, na wapenda watoto wote wa Tanzania na Afrika, najipenda pia na najikubali. Asanteni kwa kunisikiliza.
All right, please let's put our hands together once again for Mama Leticia. And I did not really have a minute as I was rushing here and there to set things right, but she knows that adults and young girls have been the most affected when compared with their counterparts, the male counterparts, and they increase in infections amongst girls, is also impacting women who are bearing children with the infections from HIV. And so she believes that it's very important that all efforts should be made, and that's why we're here meeting, to decrease the chances of mothers bearing children with HIV. She knows that it's important to address the gender disparities in society. She believes that our cooperation through the Alliance is crucial, and it should be strategic in order to combat HIV and AIDS. It's an ambitious target. 2030 is not too far away, but together we can. On behalf of people living with HIV and AIDS, they stand in the front lines to cooperate and assist in any possible way. Those people living with HIV and AIDS, they will continue putting as much effort as they can, efforts that address the policy issues across the sectors as best as they can. And she assures us, within Tanzania, and hopefully this message can be carried across the allied countries, that people living with HIV and AIDS will stand at front lines and adhere to all the medications and all the treatments that are available to them, so that we can reach the desired goals of the 95, 95, 95. Ladies and gentlemen, in short, allow me to address a couple of points that I quickly read from Leticia's speech, and let's put our hands together once again. My co-MC, please join me on stage as we proceed now to Côte d'Ivoire. I believe the video is ready, I checked, and we can connect directly. Hello? You may proceed, and you have about 3 minutes, Your Excellency.
Bonjour, j'espère que vous m'entendez. Vous m'entendez?
We can hear you. I speak a bit of French. Are you going to be delivering this in French or in English, sir?
In French, in French.
Yes, we can.
Excellence, Monsieur le Vice-président de la République du Tanzanie, Mesdames et Messieurs les ministres, honorables invités, distingués participants, Mesdames et Messieurs, je suis heureux de vous adresser le message de la Côte d'Ivoire pour mettre fin, en tout cas de l'Alliance mondiale, au PHIH sur le point de système. Côte d'Ivoire, 31 décembre 2020. 2021, notre pays a enregistré une couverture en traitement ARV de la prévention de la transmission vers l'enfant chez les mères à 95% et un taux de transmission du VIH de la mère à l'enfant de 6%. Le nombre de nouvelles infections chez les enfants est à baissé de 83% et de 75% respectivement pour les secours à 14 ans et de 15 ans pour 4 ans comparé à l'année 2010. Le nombre de décès est également baisse par rapport à 2010. Il a varié de 47% et de 37% respectivement chez les enfants de 14 ans et de 15 à 4 ans. Donc, au regard des 3 la Côte d'Ivoire enregistre des chiffres de 58, 93 des enfants, la place en famille des pays dans la région africaine, ouest africaine centrale. Malgré ces résultats majeurs, il convient de connaître que les points importants restent à faire pour atteindre l'élimination. Cette raison justifie notre engagement dans l'Alliance pour l'élimination du sida chez les enfants d'ici 2030. En effet, si la prévention de la transmission mère connaît une évolution satisfaisante, force est de reconnaître que l'identification des enfants infectés et leur mise sous traitement avec leur traitement constitue des défis que nous devons relever. En fin 2021, seulement 15% des enfants exposés au VIH-Sida ont bénéficié d'un dépistage précoce. La cascade des 3 fois 95 était respectivement de 58, 54 et 38%. Ces résultats sont faibles comparés à ce qu'on observe chez les adultes. Face à cette situation, la Côte d'Ivoire réaffirme son engagement prioritaire à réduire le taux de mortalité néonatale infanto-juvénile et maternelle d'ici 2025. Il réaffirme son engagement à créer un environnement favorable pour la lutte contre toutes les formes de stigmatisation et de discrimination et les atteintes des droits humains.
Ili kupunguza hatari ya kuambukizwa VVU kwa vijana balehe, akina mama
à travers la mission du cadre juridique et leur application. D'autre part, le pays s'engage sur les 3 prochaines années pour des actions spécifiques suivantes. Mettre en œuvre à tous les niveaux de la pyramide sanitaire la stricte évitation et la transmission mère-enfant du VIH-Sida.
Let's use your speech and let's put our hands together once again.
Exposé au VIH-Sida à l'âge de 2 ans, organisé à un colloque international sur la prise en charge du VIH-Sida et les PTM pour renforcer le cadre de partage des bonnes pratiques, des innovations et les avancées scientifiques sur la réponse au sida pédiatrique. Excellence, Madame la Présidente, Mesdames et Messieurs, au terme de mon intervention, nous pouvons vous assurer de l'engagement de la Côte d'Ivoire à mettre fin au VIH-Sida chez les enfants d'ici 2030. Je vous remercie.
All right, well, thank you very much for your remarks. And
To Côte d'Ivoire, I believe the video is ready. I checked.
ministers, ladies and gentlemen, we are now going to hear commitment statements from ministers of health of our alliance countries. It's my great pleasure to welcome the Honorable Dr. Nakumicha Susan Wafula, Minister of Health, Kenya. With your hands, ladies and gentlemen. The State Minister of Uganda, please stand by. You're next.
I believe the video is ready. I checked, and we can connect to Côte d'Ivoire. I believe the video is ready. I checked, and we can connect to Côte d'Ivoire. I believe the video is ready. I checked, and we can connect to Côte d'Ivoire. I believe the video is ready. I checked.
GDN Chiwenga, Zimbabwe, Her Excellency Monica, the First Lady of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Umi Mwalimu, Minister of Health Tanzania, who is our host, Mrs. Wayne. My colleague health ministers present, community representatives, all protocols observed. Receive warm greetings from His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto, and the great people of the Republic of Kenya. I am delighted to be in Tanzania today as we take bold steps to achieve an ambitious goal of ending AIDS in children by 2030.
You may proceed, and you have about 3 minutes, Your Excellency.
Bonjour.
Restart, a better chance to survive, thrive, and fulfill their dreams. The impact of this initiative will reignite powerful ripples of hope across member nations and the world. Kenya acknowledges the power of the model global.
People living with HIV and AIDS, they stand in the front lines
to our partner PEPFAR for the 20 years of unrelated support to Kenya and many other countries in responding to HIV that have yielded undeniable results. Through partnerships over the last 10 years, Kenya reduced new infections by 57% and AIDS-related death decreased by 68%. We are, however, still faced with challenge of a high HIV burden, with 65% of the 1.4 million living with HIV being women of childbearing age, and new infections among children, adolescents, and young people coupled with HIV-related mortality. Mother-to-child transmission rate remains high at 8.9%. Treatment outcomes for children living with HIV also remain suboptimal, with about 78% of those on treatment virally suppressed compared to 88% of adults. Children have been left behind and their voice remain unheard. Kenya is committed to continuously examine such glaring gaps to grow our resolve to end AIDS in children. Specifically, within the next 3 years, as members of the Alliance, Kenya will implement a 4-point action plan to bridge the gaps and fast-track the progress of ending pediatric AIDS by 2030. Our action point, number 1, is to address vulnerabilities and inequalities that sustain the new infections and impede progress by subpopulations and geography. We shall do this by providing policy direction for prioritized, targeted actions to bridge programmatic gaps across all geographical locations and subpopulations that are left behind. We shall also strengthen and leverage and bring to scale accelerated, multi-sector, accountable actions across all governments to address the triad challenge of new HIV infections, pregnancies, sexual and gender-based violence facing our young people. We will advocate for inclusion of benefits for vulnerable households of children and women living with HIV within social protection, nutritional support, and social health insurance frameworks. We will also invest in community-led, peer-to-peer models, such as mentor mothers and the robust network of community health workers for psychosocial support. Our action point number 2 is to close all the bottlenecks in diagnostic systems, commodity security, and health workforce. We shall do this by advocating for and provide incremental and ring-fenced domestic resources to assure commodity security for this agenda. We shall also adopt and scale up effective technology and innovation for diagnosis, treatment, and support. We shall capacity build our human resource for health to deliver on this agenda. Our action point number 3 is to renew partnerships and align resources with country priorities and costed work plans. We'll do this by developing a costed national strategic plan towards this agenda to mainstream accountable collaboration with stakeholders. We shall operationalize a national validation committee to sustain sustainability to this agenda. And to this, we shall also create a bottom-up movement on ending AIDS in children in Kenya, roll out a campaign in the Republic of Kenya across the 47 counties with citizens at the core of planning and implementation. And our last action point number 4 is prioritize data and information system to have an informed, science-led response at all levels.
We are in the process of digitalization of our health services in the country. We shall also do an investment in use of local community social intelligence to build a sustainable response. We shall operationalize a unique identifier to secure accountability and fidelity in access of quality service. And for that, we are already ahead of it. And in the next few months, we shall be rolling out our unique identifier. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the Kenya government, under the leadership of His Excellency, our President Dr. William Samoei Ruto, has prioritized universal health coverage and more remarkably identified ending AIDS as a key priority. Additionally, our approach, popularly known as Hustler Movement, gives emphasis on defending the weak through a bottom-up approach. In this approach, we believe in working from the grassroots, by grassroots for grassroots, the marginalized, the weak, and the voiceless. The agenda of ending AIDS in children will require this approach that recognizes the power of citizens to create and be part of the change that we want. To this end, through the support of Global Fund and other partners, we are starting a countrywide rapid result initiative to bridge the gaps and accelerate progress in ending AIDS among children. The initiative aims to mobilize citizens and professionals at all levels to see the urgency of this agenda. I assure the duty bearers, including partners of Kenya, prioritization and commitment to 1. End pediatric AIDS by 2030 by implementing the action.
Ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote katika uzinduzi wa muungano
and report progress to the alliance. I also assure you that we shall allocate domestic resources where needed to fill critical gaps, in particular to support health systems, including commodities and information system. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our act together and move from talk to action. And I believe, together in action, we shall end AIDS in children by 2030. Thank you very much.
Waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote katika uzinduzi wa muungano wa kimataifa wa kutokomeza virusi vya Ukimwi. Ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu waliotangulia
the Vice President of the Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency, the Vice President of Zimbabwe, the Honorable Ministers of Health here present.
Kufanyika kwa ushirikiano imara na wa kimkakati na wadau mbalimbali wakiwemo sekta binafsi, serikali na viongozi wa dini. Mfumo unawezekana kufanyika kwa ushirikiano.
Gentlemen, good afternoon. It is with pleasure for me to stand before you today to launch this global alliance to end AIDS in children by 2030. I want to thank the President of Tanzania, who is not here with us, for hosting this important event. I want to appreciate the United Nations family and the entire organizing committee for their effort in bringing us together for this noble cause. For over a decade, Uganda has been working tirelessly to end AIDS among children through prevention of mother-to-child transmission, early identification and treatment of children living with HIV.
Ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote katika uzinduzi wa muungano wa kimataifa wa kutokomeza virusi vya Ukimwi.
We do face challenges such as inadequate retention of pregnant and breastfeeding women in care, leading to new infections among children, suboptimal case identification, and viral load suppression among children. To address this, the global alliance is timely and necessary. Uganda is committed to its implementation and has formed a technical working group to oversee the progress. And to this end, we are working closely with the stakeholders to accelerate progress and eliminate vertical transmission of HIV and AIDS. Uganda has also integrated the Pact for Accelerated Progress in PMTC and Pediatric and the AP3 initiative with a global alliance plans to form national action plans to end AIDS in children by 2030. Uganda's focus will be on scaling up efforts at the community level, working closely with networks of people living with HIV. The civil society organizations will not be left behind as well. We will regularly be monitoring progress through the established monitoring and evaluation frameworks and accountability meetings. Priority will be given to the high burden and high prevalence regions with sustained efforts in the remaining regions.
Sekta binafsi, serikali na viongozi wa dini. Mfumo unawezekana kufanyika kwa
support to our clients. I would like to take this opportunity to thank the Ugandan technical team, the technical working team on this initiative, and also to appreciate the stakeholders, and I believe together we can fight AIDS among children by 2030 and beyond. As I conclude, I want to emphasize that Uganda is committed to ending AIDS in children by 2030 and is being part of the new and great initiative. We are committed to funding key priority and high impact interventions in our national action plan. We are also committed to tracking our progress to ensure that we remain focused to our objectives as laid down in the National Action Plan.
Very important that all efforts should be made and that's why we're here meeting to decrease the chances of mothers. That it's very important that all efforts should be made.
Honorable Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to apologize to have to invite the Minister of Health for Zambia to give his commitments virtually. I request the studio to put online Honorable Minister for Health of Zambia.
It's very important that all efforts should be made, and that's why we're here meeting to decrease the chance.
Honorable Minister, may I request you to please unmute and turn on the camera. Thank you. Minister, may I request you to please turn on the camera.
So we might have a slight glitch. It shouldn't hold us back. We can get right back to them. Those were remarks from the Executive Director, UNICEF. Allow me to welcome in person community leadership. The title for the next presentation holds the key to impact. Remarks from the global network.
That it's very important that all efforts should be made, and that's why we're here meeting to decrease the chances of mothers that
We'll retry the reconnection. Please remotely request for them to unmute so that we can proceed with it after the following remarks from the Karibu sana. We are kindly requesting that we stick to our 3 minutes.
Wa kutokomeza virusi vya ukimwi. Ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote katika uzinduzi wa muungano wa kimataifa wa kutokomeza virusi vya ukimwi.
Important that all efforts should be made, and that's why we're here meeting to decrease the chances of mothers. That it's very important that all efforts should be made, and that's why we're here meeting to decrease the chances of mothers. That it's very important that all efforts should be made, and that's why we're here meeting to decrease the chances of mothers. That it's very important that all efforts should be made, and that's why we're here meeting to decrease the chances of mothers. That it's very.
In addition to their commitments, integration of community-based prevention of mother-to-child transmission, improving early diagnosis coverage through early infant diagnosis with a focus on point-of-care testing, improving access through optimizing point-of-care testing, increasing investment in partnerships to allow institutionalizing innovation and best practices. The partnership should cascade to community-led organizations. Our chief guest, many speakers have highlighted the statistics. As communities and leaders and women and mothers living with HIV, we know the faces and feel the urgency in ensuring that children are no longer failed by the AIDS response. Today, again, on behalf of people living with HIV, I want to reaffirm the commitment of us as people living with HIV, but also as recipients of care and mothers and parents to the children that we are losing out of care, but also the children that are getting infected on a daily basis. We have helped to shape the alliance and ensure that human rights, community engagement, and gender equality are part of the pillars of the Global Alliance. Yesterday, our guest of honor, as communities of people living with HIV and civil society, we shared the priority checklist from communities.
Muungano wa Tanzania, Mheshimiwa Makamu wa Rais wa Zimbabwe, Dr. Constantine Chiwenga, Mheshimiwa mama yetu kipenzi,
to mobilize our communities and contribute our expertise to help us achieve the goal. As we all go back to our countries, we ask you to take the spirit of God and partner with us. We believe a women-led response is key in ending AIDS in children. The principles for what community leadership will include that we believe is going to help us end AIDS among children requires that we fully engage the unique assets of communities, capacities, comparative advantage of communities, including women-led organizations, youth-led, key population-led, and people living with HIV-led to drive meaningful person-centered impact. But we also believe that the carers, the healthcare workers, must be put into the center if we have to get where we want to get. This calls for leadership at all levels. We have to better integrate community voices. We have to
you, honorable ministers. These are difficult times. Some asks of you, honorable ministers. These are difficult times. Some asks of you.
Youth-focused organizations.
and a guest of honor as I end, before you came, I had talked to this August house and told them that about 14 years ago, when we had less tools, when we had less resources, when we were not empowered as we were, I was able to deliver a child who is negative. 3 years later, I delivered another one. The resource that we have today, our guest of honor, we did not have then, but we were able to do this. And therefore, our call to action is, let's be part of the team that is going to end AIDS among children. And as women living with HIV, we believe that we are better placed to do that, because we are the ones who deliver these children. We are the ones who take care of these children, to the extent that even when they don't adhere to treatment, we know why and we know where they are. And therefore, our call to the 12 countries and others to come into your guest of honor is that let's shout out, let's call to action, let's do what Kenya has told us, the bottom-up approach, so that we are able to address the problem from where it comes from. Thank you very much.
Ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote katika uzinduzi wa muungano wa kimataifa wa kutokomeza virusi vya ukimwi. Ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote katika uzinduzi wa muungano wa kimataifa wa kutokomeza virusi vya ukimwi. Ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu.
Now we can move to Zambia. We have a connection right now, and it's great to hear from you, Honorable Sylvia Tembo Masebo. Karibu sana.
Is also impacting women who are bearing children, infections amongst girls, is also impacting women who are bearing children, infections amongst girls.
Mama Monica Giggons, the First Lady of Namibia and Chair of the Organization of African First Ladies on AIDS and Development, Minister of Health, United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Umi Mwalimu, Honorable Ministers of Health present, UNAIDS Executive Director and Under Secretary General of the UN, Ms. Winnie Yanima, the United States Global AIDS Coordinator, Ambassador Dr. John Kengeson, WHO Director General, Dr. Tedros, representatives of the Global Fund, representatives
waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote katika uzinduzi wa muungano wa kimataifa wa kutokomeza virusi vya ukimwi. Ninayo furaha kubwa kuungana na wenzangu waliotangulia kuwakaribisha nyote.
Allow me to state from the outset our deepest sense of gratitude to be invited to this political launch of the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030. My two dear sisters, the UNAIDS Executive Director, Madam Winnie, and my fellow Minister of Health for the United Republic of Tanzania, Madam Mwalimu, I say thank you for inviting me and my team. I would have loved to be there in person, but due to other equally important pressing issues here back home, I've been unable to join you physically. The Republic of Zambia is pleased to be a proud partner under the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030. We are therefore pleased to be working with UNAIDS, UNICEF, WHO, PEMFA, the Global Fund, civil society organizations, and communities of people living with HIV. We realize that to achieve this, we need to pay particular attention to women living with HIV and populations at increased increased risk of HIV infection, including adults and girls, and young women and key populations. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we are more than ever committed to ending AIDS in children by 2030 in Zambia. Our commitment to achieve this is through a decentralized service delivery model, which we have embarked on under this administration, led by His Excellency the President of the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Responses to childhood AIDS have been treated as special types of interventions offered by a few specialized health workers. We are committed to using the following: 1, sub-national levels; 2, the private sector; 3, our traditional and religious leaders; 4, civic leaders; 5, the media; and 6, academia, then research institutions, and above all, the community, through civil societies, to promote all aspects of childhood AIDS responses. Using the local government model, we will increase domestic resource financing in all the constituencies of our country using a special fund that has been instituted called the Constituency Development Fund. This fund will also support the free education policy introduced in this government so as to keep and retain our children in schools, thereby preventing them from acquiring HIV. With the decentralized health system, we will bring issues pertaining to childhood AIDS to the community as part of primary health care. In addition, working with line ministries, Zambia will advance education, promote employment, and income-generating activities for women living with HIV, and expand access to the national social protection systems. Therefore, Zambia affirms its commitment to end pediatric AIDS by 2030 by implementing the following through a decentralized approach. 1, case finding of children, adolescents, and women through a multi-modality testing. Zambia will implement multiple testing strategies, including scaling up the use of point-of-care technologies to remote. Will result in improving early infant diagnosis coverage to 95% by 2025. We will also aim to reduce turnaround time for results, leveraging on the health decentralization agenda which this government has embarked on. Zambia will strengthen and improve the retesting of negative pregnant and breastfeeding women from less than 30% to 50% by 2025. This will improve detection of new HIV infections among pregnant and breastfeeding women. This will further facilitate early intervention to prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV and early identification of HIV-exposed children. Secondly, optimizing antiretroviral treatment coverage and retention of children, adolescents, and pregnant and breastfeeding women living with HIV. Zambia will ensure commodity security for prevention of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and pediatric HIV services. We will also implement differentiated service delivery for children and adolescents, and further scale up and sustain peer adolescent and mother support strategies. Thirdly, improving knowledge and access to HIV prevention for pregnant and breastfeeding adolescents and women. Zambia will strengthen prevention services at site level by decentralizing dispensing points beyond ART clinics. Zambia will continue capacity building of staff for A, effective risk identification and management of intimate partner violence. B, stigma reduction. C, assisted partner notification, and D, improving prevention coverage among pregnant and breastfeeding mothers. Zambia will prioritize availability of HIV prevention commodities for pregnant and breastfeeding women, including condom plus oral and long-acting injectable ARVs for HIV prevention. I thank you.
Honorable Masebo, thank you very much for your statement from Zambia, brought to us virtually. We now may proceed. Are we able now to watch the video from Catherine Russell, UNICEF? If we could get that going, that would be great. Otherwise, may I please, yes, we have Catherine on video. Ladies and gentlemen, your attention and your eyes on the screens. Please play. Please restart with audio. Honorable Sylvia Lutukuta, Minister of Health, Angola, please stand by.
Excellencies, colleagues, on behalf of UNICEF, thank you for coming together in Dar es Salaam to support the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children. The work of the Alliance to provide treatment to children living with HIV is critical, especially with 300 children dying each day from AIDS. We have a long road ahead. Progress in HIV prevention and treatment for children has nearly flatlined. Today, only half of children and adolescents living with HIV are receiving treatment, compared with 3/4 of adults. Unless this inequity is addressed, ending AIDS in children will remain a distant dream. And it will take all of us in the Alliance, governments, communities living with HIV, donors like PEPFAR and the Global Fund, and UN partners to reach the 1.2 million children living with HIV who are not yet in treatment. But we can do it, and UNICEF will be there every step of the way. Governments and partners can count on UNICEF's continued support. This includes work to integrate HIV services into primary health care and strengthen the capacity of local health systems. And to our community partners, especially women living with HIV, I salute you for your courage and your tireless efforts. UNICEF is here to support you and to advocate with you. Progress is possible. Together we can end the inequity in children's access to HIV prevention, treatment, and care services. Together we can end AIDS in children by 2030.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's interject that with a statement from the Honorable Sylvia Paula Valentin Lutukuta, Minister of Health, Angola. Ladies and gentlemen, karibu sana. Please prepare the video for Dr. Tshidi, the Africa Director, WHO, please.
Excelência, Senhor Vice-Presidente da República Unida da Tanzânia, Dr. Phillip Mpango, Excelência Vice-Presidente da República do Zimbábue, Dr. Constantino Chiwenga, Excelência Ministra da Saúde da República da Tanzânia, Doutora Uni Walimo, Excelência Primeira-Dama da República da Namíbia e Presidente da OFLAT, Madame Mônica Jengos, Excelências, Senhores Ministros, Ministras, representantes dos Ministérios, muito dignos responsáveis das agências das Nações Unidas, todo o protocolo observado. Permitam, pois, que felicite Sua Excelência, Ministra da Saúde da República Unida da Tanzânia, pela feliz iniciativa de juntar os 12 países africanos participantes na Aliança Global, mulheres que vivem com VIH, doadores e parceiros de desenvolvimento, para falarmos de estratégia para acabar com o SIDA em crianças nos próximos 3 anos. Angola adotou a declaração política aprovada na última reunião de alto nível da Assembleia Geral das Nações Unidas sobre o SIDA. Sob a liderança de Sua Excelência, Presidente João Lourenço, o governo de Angola e o seu povo estão empenhados em alcançar a meta de acabar com o SIDA
ili kupunguza hatari ya kuambukizwa VVU kwa vijana, balehe, akina mama na hatimaye watoto.
Por Sua Excelência, a Primeira-Dama, Ana Dias Lourenço, tem sido crucial para o alcance das
is also impacting women who are very...
Com as consequências da última crise econômica mundial, agravada pela Covid-19, o governo da República de Angola, desde 2016, por ser classificado como um país de média renda, sustenta quase na íntegra os custos com os
na kushughulikia changamoto za usawa wa kijinsia na ubaguzi kwa makundi maalum. Watu tunaoishi na virusi vya ukimwi tuko tayari
global em apenas 2 das 18 províncias. Reconhecemos que o financiamento nacional para a saúde ainda não é suficiente para inúmeros desafios da assistência técnica e dos custos, particularmente para as intervenções comunitárias. Assim sendo, gostaríamos de contar
kufanyika kwa ushirikiano imara na wa kimkakati na wadau mbalimbali wakiwemo sekta binafsi, serikali na viongozi wa dini
95 preconizadas. Porém, registramos uma redução de 42% na taxa de transmissão de VIH de mãe para filho. Em 2018 era estimada em 26% e em 2021 15%, uma redução de 28% em novas infecções entre adolescentes e mulheres jovens, uma redução da mortalidade por SIDA e um aumento de 41% na cobertura de tratamento antirretroviral. O número estimado de crianças que vivem com VIH em Angola é de 36 mil, segundo o último relatório global da ONU-SIDA, divulgado em 2022. A prevalência nacional é de 2%. Reafirmamos que estamos comprometidos com os esforços globais, regionais e nacionais em curso para alcançar o acesso universal e acabar com SIDA em crianças até 2030. Não gostaríamos de terminar sem referir que, depois de todo o trabalho realizado pelas equipas técnicas, reiteramos o nosso compromisso para a adoção da declaração de Dar es Salaam para acabar com SIDA em crianças em 2030. No que toca às prioridades de Angola, neste primeiro ano, destacamos o Pilar 1, intensificação da busca ativa de casos de crianças expostas para o diagnóstico, tratamento e cuidados na comunidade com engajamento das mulheres que vivem com VIH. No Pilar 2, fortalecimento das intervenções comunitárias lideradas por mulheres que vivem com VIH, promovendo o vínculo das gestantes seropositivas e crianças expostas com as unidades de saúde através de projetos sociais no país, como o projeto Quenda e de combate à pobreza, para fechar as lacunas do diagnóstico e tratamento. Pilar 3, operacionalização da Comissão Nacional de Luta contra a SIDA e grandes endemias, com vista ao fortalecimento de ações multissetoriais de resposta ao VIH. Pilar 4, mobilização e capacitação das mulheres que vivem com VIH sobre os direitos humanos, a equidade de género, baseado nos resultados do estudo de caso contra o estigma e discriminação. Juntos somos mais fortes contra o fim do VIH em crianças em 2030. Agradecemos a vossa atenção. Ashanti.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. May we proceed? Do we have the quick video? And once again, I'm going to request for, are we good? Is that a, okay, let's go.
Your Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Excellency Monica Gengos, First Lady of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Umi Mwalumi, Minister of Health of Tanzania, Honorable Ministers of Health of the Alliance countries, Ambassador Aminata Samatese Suma, African Union Commissioner for Health, Humanitarian Affairs and Social Development, Ambassador Dr. John Genderson, United States Global AIDS Coordinator and Special Representative for Health Diplomacy, the U.S. President's Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, Mr. Peter Sands, Executive Director of the Global Fund, my sister Madam Winnie Bianima, Executive Director of UNAIDS, Mrs. Catherine Russell, Executive Director, UNICEF, our WHO Director General, Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, civil society movements and community members, especially people living with HIV, implementing partners, colleagues, brothers and sisters. I wish to express my sincere gratitude to all the partners of the Alliance for this beautiful initiative formed in Montreal, which we are launching today in Dar es Salaam. Having devoted a good part of my career to the fight against HIV/AIDS, the birth of this alliance fills my heart with joy. It's not by chance that today's launch is taking place on African soil. Africa carries more than 80% of the AIDS burden among children. We know that children living with HIV continue to be left behind by the global HIV response. There is low uptake of testing, inadequate treatment coverage, and low retention rates among children. These disparities stall progress for children and lead to poorer treatment outcomes compared to adults. Your Excellency, it's estimated that 800,000 children aged 0 to 14 years living with HIV are not receiving antiretroviral therapy. This is unacceptable because we have the knowledge, capacity, and technology to redress the situation. Point-of-care diagnostics and HIV self-tests are more widely available. We now have treatment options for children that are better tolerated, more effective, and cheaper than ever before. With less than 8 years to reach the goal of ending AIDS, we must accelerate progress towards addressing the glaring inequalities. It's exciting that the Global Alliance is focusing on children and adolescents living with or exposed to HIV, pregnant and breastfeeding girls, women living with HIV, as well as those at high risk of HIV. Girls are 6 times more likely to be infected with HIV than boys. This is a damning comment on our collective efforts of the past 25 years. Ending AIDS in children must better address the disproportionate burden of health inequities on Africa's girls. The alliance that we are launching today will succeed when we have strong leadership, political commitment and resources globally, but more so at country level. The affected communities must be centrally engaged and participate in the programming, implementation, monitoring of the response. HIV-affected communities have proved themselves. Let's build on that. We must embrace innovation and new technologies that improve access to services, especially in remote areas, in areas in crisis and in conflict. I urge the Global Alliance member states to commit to ending pediatric AIDS by 2030 by implementing the action plans, track and report on progress to the Alliance, allocate domestic resources where needed to fill critical gaps, including particularly to support community engagement. The sprint echoed in Montreal has begun. But we're not sprinting alone. We are running together, supported by the force of partnerships, our eyes on the 2030 goal. We at the World Health Organization commit to working with you all and providing the policy and technical leadership to this strategic initiative together with our partners, particularly UNICEF and UNAIDS. We look forward to hearing your commitments today, and I thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Guest of honor, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with great respect and with due respect, we're going to alter the program just a little bit so that we can allow our guest of honor in about 30 minutes' time to proceed to other pressing engagements as equally important as this one. And so we've deliberated and have come up with the following speakers, and everyone else on the program will continue after his departure. So we'll begin with EGPAF. We'll call Madam Winnie. We'll also call Madam First Lady to speak. Your Excellency, the Vice President of Zimbabwe, you will also have a minute or two to say a couple of words before our host minister welcomes the guest of honor to speak, and of course, she will read her statement as well. We're very limited with time, and so we're going to be requesting for just about 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, if we can, courtesy. So from EGPAF, it's my great pleasure to welcome you. Representative Karibu Sana, with your hands, ladies and gentlemen. Chip Lyons, Karibu.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everyone. Excellencies, ministers, ambassadors, colleagues, and friends, it is a privilege and an honor for me to speak with you today. In particular, Your Excellency Phillip Mpango, Vice President of Tanzania, Your Excellency, Vice President from the Republic of Zimbabwe, the Honorable Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan. I want to say thank you to each of you, to Madam President, for the commitment to ending AIDS in children, and to thank you for prioritizing this meeting. The importance of your participation really cannot be overstated. That said, I had a rather longer statement to make. I was asked by the organizers to speak to a number of issues, and as we are wont to say here, time is not on our side. So I am simply going to give my full remarks to the organizers, kind of submitted for the record, and we certainly at EGPAF will be happy to share those remarks. I'm just going to highlight 3 points. I think the majority of colleagues here are aware of EGPAF, the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation. We will be celebrating 35 years since the remarkable leadership of Elizabeth Glaser, 25 of those years on the continent here. We've worked with many of you across all of the countries that are participating. We are here in support of this alliance. We believe the alliance is critically important. The alliance is necessary, it's not sufficient. And so there are a number of other actions that we need to take, and we need, as our program colleagues were challenged yesterday, to think differently. Well, it's not enough for the program colleagues to think differently. I think our advocacy colleagues and ourselves have to think differently. I think we have to speak differently. I think we have to do a number of things more creatively, drawing on the successful actions of the last number of years. Second point is data. So many colleagues have spoken to it. It's essential, particularly since virtually everyone in this room chooses to make data-informed decisions on the one hand, but we have a kind of logic problem. We keep doing surveys that don't include 0 to 14 in the surveys. We want the data, we don't ask for it, we struggle when we have to make adjustments because we didn't get the data, even though we're still collecting. So there are ways to do sustainable and affordable surveys and other actions so we can get the data, including on 0 to 14, so we can make better and smarter decisions. Investments. The next big piece of this whole work is around investments, and yet we don't have nearly as good a picture of where and how investments are being made for children. We don't know nearly enough. Thankfully, SACABA, the Coalition of Children for Children Affected by AIDS, has issued a report. It's like a flashlight in the dark so we can figure out the next steps. Critical to these revised strategies is further investment. We have to be real smart about finite resources that are going to have the greatest impact for children. We need to scale the tools we have, the optimized treatment that we have, pediatric DTG. So much work was done to develop that point of care, early infant diagnosis. Enormous amount of work done to prove how effective that is. It's not being scaled, it's stalled, it needs to scale. The Executive Director, Winnie, made a hugely important comment earlier today. The COP process and the CCMs with the Global Fund are just ahead of us. Those are the opportunities to combine the strategies that have been developed, the need for further investments, the need for advocacy, so that the Global Fund clearly hears at the country level a voice for children, and that is all of you, that is all of us collectively. And thank you very much for making that commitment today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chip. It's my great pleasure to welcome you, Mama Winnie. Yanyima, Karibu. With our hands, ladies and gentlemen, UNAIDS Executive Director and Under Secretary General of the UN.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Dr. Phillip Mpango, Your Excellency, Vice President and Minister of Health of Zimbabwe, Retired General Chiwenga, Your Excellency, my sister First Lady Monica Gengos of Namibia, also President of the Organization of African First Ladies for Development, my sister Honorable Umi Mwalimu, Minister of Health of the United Republic of Tanzania, Honorable Ministers, country representatives of the 12, or government representatives of the 12 countries who have joined the alliance in this first phase, and the delegation, the observer delegation from Namibia, colleagues from the United Nations, partners from PEPFAR Global Fund, EGPAF and others, and friends from civil society, leaders from civil society. Yesterday, I visited the Mbagala Rangitatu Hospital, where I met two amazing women, Salome and Sharifa. They gave birth at this hospital to their HIV positive. They gave birth to HIV negative babies, and they are raising those children on treatment. They are also working as powerful connectors between the hospital and the community. The great news is that Salome and Sharifa, their children, are growing up healthy and are going to live long lives, inshallah. The scandal is that we still have 1.7 million children who we adults are denying that same future. That is a scandal. The scandal is that we found a way to get 3/4 of all adults living with HIV on life-saving treatment, but only half the children who are HIV positive on treatment. That is the scandal. It breaks my heart. We are here to address that injustice. We have come together to support Salome and Sharifa. They are called peer mothers, and so many millions of women who are HIV positive, who want to save their babies. No mother doesn't want to save their baby, like Lillian told us. We are here to support them, to fight to save the lives of their babies. I'm proud to be part of this momentous occasion of launching this global alliance to end AIDS in children by 2030. I'm so happy to be among you honorable ministers and representatives of the 12 governments, because I know I have been a politician like you. This is a low-hanging fruit. You can win it. You can say, I ended AIDS in children in my country, and we help support you. Thank you for all you've done since we met in Montreal, Canada. The action plans, the prioritizing, the partnerships, the coalitions. Thank you for the hard work. But today, thank you for the commitments to make sure that infants, children, adolescents at risk for HIV are tested, to guarantee the best treatments and care for those who test positive, to close the treatment gap for pregnant and breastfeeding adolescent girls and women living with HIV, and to protect, to prevent and detect new infections among women and girls. But also, strongly in addition, we've heard how critical it is to address human rights, gender equality, and social structural barriers. So this is about getting the whole of government into this agenda. Thank you for committing to do that too. We also heard, and we will hear, more commitments from global leaders to support your governments and your people to implement these plans. It is through partnerships that we have made the progress against HIV. It is through these partnerships that we can get to the end of this fight. It's a winnable fight. It's a fight for our children, Watoto. It fills me with hope that all of us in this room have committed. Here is our commitment on behalf of the United Nations. We commit to support the implementation of the Dar es Salaam Statement of Action, all of us at the United Nations, co-led by WHO and UNICEF. Together we can create that world where no child is born with HIV. Countries have achieved it. These 12 can achieve it too. No child living with HIV is denied their right to life-saving treatment. We can do this. Thank you very much.
Powerful message. It allows me to welcome you, Your Excellency, Mama Monica Agengos, First Lady of the Republic of Namibia, for your very brief statement, unfortunately, and respectfully, once again. Ladies and gentlemen, if you put your hands together, starting to sound.
Thank you, Director of Ceremonies, Your Excellency Dr. Phillip Mpango, Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency Retired General Dr. Constantine Chiwenga, Vice President and Minister of Health and Childcare of the Republic of Zimbabwe, our host, Minister of Health, Honorable Umi Mwalimu, and your counterparts from other African countries, thank you very much for your very powerful statements and commitments that you've made earlier. Winnie Panyema, the Executive Director of UNAIDS, I'll try and be as brief as I can. I stand here on behalf of the organization, African First Ladies, because we've always been engaged in ending AIDS on the African continent. As recently as 2018, we ran a continent-wide campaign called the Free to Shine campaign, where we partnered with UN agencies, where we focused on pediatric HIV. We will be doing something similar this year. And we've done this in partnership with UNAIDS. And I'd really like to thank Winnie, I think, for her forthright leadership, and through you, all the UN agencies and the Ministers of Health who are present here today. There are a lot of issues that face African youth. and ending HIV is not and should not be one of them. The solutions are clear. We know what has to be done, and it's really the political will and political action that we need to harness. And I think we've seen that through the Ministers of Health who've spoken here today. We also have to reflect on a few things. And it's appropriate at this forum to reflect on our attitudes, religious beliefs, cultural practices, and how we've shaped masculinities. We cannot speak about preventing and treating HIV if we cannot speak about sex. And if our religious beliefs and cultural practices have not prevented HIV transmission in children and adolescents, they should not prevent the measures required to actualize an AIDS-free generation. We must reshape our religious beliefs, our cultural practices, and masculinities to protect children. And there's no contradiction. Religion and culture hold societies together, and children's protection is paramount in all faiths and culture. And this global alliance is essentially about how to protect children. I want to end by reaffirming the seriousness of the Organization of African First Ladies for Development in supporting the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children. The DAR Declaration issued from this meeting is our collective declaration. While First Ladies are not repositories of power, we have proximity to power. To be honest, our only real power is that we do not need to make an appointment to see the presidents of our respective countries. The Minister of Health of Angola spoke very eloquently about how powerful the First Lady of Angola has been in advocacy around HIV. And I can confirm that most First Ladies from most of the countries that are participating in the Global Alliance have shown similar commitment to that of the First Lady of Angola. Please rely on us as we all seek to translate political will into political action. We'll use our platforms to provide strong advocacy across the continent for women, adolescents, and children living with and affected by HIV. Wafla is humbled to be part of this gathering of leaders, united in a solemn vow and a clear plan of action to end AIDS in children once and for all. There's no higher priority for us than this, and we will not leave any child behind. Let's look after each other and be safe. Thank you.
We thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the host minister, Honorable Umi Mwalimu, may I please welcome you to the podium. Please hold the declaration and the statement, the Dar es Salaam declaration in your hands. Yes, please come through. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together. This is our article of order.
Excellencies, the guests of honor, ministers of health from 12 countries who are the members of the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030. We have actually adopted a declaration which is known as the Dar es Salaam Declaration in Tanzania. Now I would like to ask the Honorable Ministers whether we have adopted the declaration or not. Adopted? Adopted. Thank you very much. Basically, what we have actually included into the declaration, we have the tools, the guidance, policies, and the knowledge we need in order to end AIDS in children. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to welcome His Excellency Dr. Constantine Chiwenga, the Vice President of Zimbabwe and Minister of Health, in order to deliver his statement. Warmly welcome, His Excellency.
Our guest of honor, the Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, Your Excellency Dr. Phillip Mpango, Her Excellency the First Lady of Namibia, ministers of health and from fellow partner countries of the first phase of the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030. All protocols observed. And I have to recognize our host for the ministers, Honorable Malim. Thank you once again, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the United Republic of Tanzania, for convening and hosting this political launch of the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030. I wish to express my gratitude to you, fellow honorable ministers.
She believes that our cooperation through the alliance is crucial and it should be strategic in order
we have made to deliver for women and children as we seek to end AIDS in children by 2030. I gave my remarks earlier on today and highlighted on the key activities that we carry out in Zimbabwe to fulfill the vision and objectives of the Global Alliance. We are strongly committed to attaining the ambitious targets that we have set for ourselves as a country. This should not just be a talk show, but should galvanize momentum and action as each and every one of us plays their part to end AIDS in children by 2030. As chair of the National Verification Committee for Eliminating Vertical Transmission of HIV in Zimbabwe, I commit to strengthening activities to prevent vertical transmission of HIV and to closing the treatment gap for children in need of antiretroviral treatment. Children are our future, the future parents and leaders of our nations, and we need to invest in their health and well-being. That's not a choice but a must. We commit to supporting women and men in need of antiretroviral treatment to receive the treatment and care that they need for their own health, as well for preventing HIV transmission in children. We give our commitment towards addressing the structural detriments of health that prevent women, especially adolescents and young women, from accessing care. We will engage communities, including the women and men living with HIV and other networks, to move forward and address the unique challenges that confront them day to day. To this end, we commit to addressing and ending stigma and discrimination and other social ills such as harmful gender norms and sexual and gender-based violence that hinder progress
to combat HIV and AIDS. She believes that our cooperation through
these commitments call for allocation of adequate resources and funding budgets. We are committed to increasing our budget allocation and domestic resources to support care and implementation of activities targeted at ending AIDS in children by 2030. We commit to having an accountability framework that allows for monitoring of progress towards attaining the targets we have set for ourselves. Where corrective action is needed, we will be able to take it and steer the ship in the right direction. We appreciate the involvement of other stakeholders in the Global Alliance. To this end, I wish to recognize UNAIDS, WHO, UNICEF, and our development partners and other funding contributions towards health. Allow me to express my gratitude once again to the government of the United Republic of Tanzania for hosting the political launch of the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030. Failure is not an option, ladies and gentlemen, and this should be our rallying call as we move towards ending AIDS in children by 2030. Asante sana, I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Honorable Dr.
Strategic in order to combat HIV and AIDS. She believes that our cooperation through the alliance is crucial and it should be strategic in order to combat HIV and AIDS.
In the spirit of the United Republic of Tanzania,
and it should be strategic in order to...
Dr. Phillip is Mpango, Vice President of the Republic of Tanzania. His Assistant General Dr. Ugonjwa, Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care, Republic of Zimbabwe. Fellow ministers, all protocol observed. The government of the Republic of Tanzania renews its commitment to stand with 38.4 million people living with HIV around the world as we pursue our shared goal and global solidarity towards ending AIDS by 2030. Tanzania is about to host the launch of the Global Alliance in Africa and commits to work in collaboration and in partnership with key stakeholders to end inequalities that contribute to HIV infections in children and get the world back on track to end AIDS by 2030. The government of the Republic of Tanzania will intensify, speed up, scale up implementation of ongoing effective interventions and activities, introduce and roll out new evidence-based impactful interventions and activities across the 4 pillars of the Global Alliance Initiative to realize the desired goals. To conclude, I commend the global partnership and Tanzanian community on the tremendous progress we have made together in reaching where we are today. This has been driven by smart investment and enabling policy that we have made. Now we continue to maintain and sustain gains to reach HIV epidemic control in Tanzania, Africa, and the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, join me in my invitation. I would like to invite His Excellency Dr. Phillip Mpango, the Vice President of the Republic of Tanzania. Please, the floor is yours.
Please be seated. Your Excellency, Retired General Dr. Constantine Chiwenga, Vice President and Minister of Health and Child Care of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Your Excellency Monica Gaingo, First Lady of the Republic of Namibia, Honorable Ume Mwalimu, Member of Parliament, Minister of Health of the United Republic of Tanzania. I recognize Honorable Mazrui, the Minister of Health, Zanzibar Government, Honorable Ministers of Health from different countries, Ambassador Mbaru, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and East African Cooperation, Madam Winnie Yanyima, Director General of UNAIDS, Honorable Fatma Taufik, Chairperson of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on HIV/AIDS, Executive Director, UNICEF, UNAIDS officials, development partners present, senior government officials, all participants online, and I would in a particular way want to recognize in a very particular way the brave women living with AIDS, civil society representatives, members of the media, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I am greatly honored to have been given the opportunity to officiate the opening of the ministerial launch of the Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030 in Africa. On behalf of Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania and the people of Tanzania, I wish to extend a warm welcome to all participants in this event being held here at the Julius Nyerere International Convention Center in Dar es Salaam. I also extend a proudly Tanzanian karibu sana to all our esteemed guests from outside Tanzania. Please feel at home. I bring to this conference fraternal greetings from Her Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan, who wished to be here but had to attend to other equally important matters. And please accept her message of appreciation to all of you, and especially to UNAIDS, UNICEF, WHO, and other international partners for initiating this new alliance that aims to address one of the most evident gaps in the fight against AIDS. Her Excellency the President wishes to assure you of Tanzania's commitment to this noble cause, and that her administration stands ready to work closely with all partners and communities to ensure that we succeed in ending AIDS in children by 2030. Excellencies, honorable ministers, the United Republic of Tanzania is indeed honored to host this very important high-level event to launch the Global Alliance in Africa after the decision in Montreal in August of 2022. And even more so, Tanzania is pleased to be amongst the 12 countries from the region that the first phase of the alliance will focus on. The government recognizes that providing essential treatment to women, adolescent girls, and children living with HIV is one of the key pillars of bringing about meaningful, inclusive, and sustainable development. We are therefore very pleased that the Alliance is giving a top priority to this cause. And looking at the 4 pillars of focus, we are optimistic that just as we made commendable progress in providing antiretroviral therapy to pregnant women living with HIV, we will also achieve the SDG target and end AIDS in children by 2030. Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates, it is gratifying to note that over the years, there have been remarkable progress in slowing down the spread of HIV and reducing the number of AIDS-related deaths around the globe. However, the recent UNAIDS World AIDS Report of 2022 is pointing to dangerous inequalities and the harsh reality that the world continues to fail children and adolescents in the AIDS response. It has been sounded that as of 2021, 800,000 children living with HIV were still not on life-saving treatment. Even more alarming is the fact that AIDS is singled out as the #1 cause of death among adolescents in Africa and the second leading cause of death among adolescents globally. Even though we seem to know quite well what needs to be done to eliminate the vertical transmission of HIV and meet the treatment needs for children, still progress has stalled and the gap in treatment coverage between children and adults is widening. The two big questions we should then ask ourselves are, first, what is holding us back? And second, how do we move from where we are? I will not attempt to answer these questions because from what I have already heard, particularly in terms of the commitment made here, I think you have answered the questions and set the tone for action. I really loved the proposition that we should focus, among others, on data and information gaps to be addressed, as well as listening to the voices of people, and especially women.
She believes that our cooperation through the alliance is crucial and it should be strategic.
Incorporate lessons from the successes and shortcomings of the past initiatives. I hope this approach will point to the right direction and consequently help us come up with the plans that will close the treatment gap, encourage testing, prevent new HIV infections, and ensure that every child in Africa globally living with HIV receives appropriate treatment by 2030. Excellencies and distinguished delegates, the government of Tanzania is committed to end the HIV pandemic as a public health threat by 2030 as part of the SDGs. As a country, we have made significant progress towards the set global HIV targets. As of September 2022, 92% of individuals knew their HIV status. 98.3% were kept on antiretroviral therapy, and up to 96.2% of those on ARVs attained viral suppression. And in addition, the six-phase government, in collaboration with partners like the Global Fund, PEPFAR, and private sector, continues to invest in HIV point-of-care and conventional testing laboratories, where in a span of 2 years, we have managed to increase their number from 54 to 130 laboratories. And despite the achievements recorded to date, our women are still facing a disproportionate HIV burden, mostly pronounced among adolescent girls and young women aged between 15 to 24, who are 2 to 3 times more affected than their male counterparts. Also, Tanzania is still facing pediatric new infections. Records show that in 2021, there were about 9,400 new child infections transmitted from mother to child. This is partly attributed to insufficient quality of care services, especially missed opportunity for HIV care, lack of treatment and support services, and antiretroviral during pregnancy and breastfeeding among HIV-positive mothers. In addition, we are also experiencing challenges when it comes to community engagement and ownership to support a comprehensive prevention of new infections through mother-to-child transmission. In cognizance of these shortcomings, the government continues to equip health facilities with appropriate tools to enhance HIV care and treatment services for pregnant women and children. From January to September 2022, 99% of first antenatal care attendees received HIV counseling and testing services, and among those tested, 2.9% were found to be HIV positive, and a total of 49,953, which is equivalent to 96%, were enrolled in prevention of mother-to-child transmission program and had access to ARVs. In addition, a total of 34,364, which is about 88%, HIV-exposed infants started on HIV prophylaxis and received the first HIV test at their second month. While we are optimistic with the achievements that have been realized, there is still more to be done to close the gap. It is therefore our expectation that through the implementation of the priorities outlined in the 4 pillars of the Global Alliance, member countries will be able to advance towards the goal of ensuring that our children are free from HIV by 2030. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, we firmly believe that there is a great need to have an integrated, inclusive, and multi-sectoral approach to addressing the structural barriers to healthy lives and well-being of children and women, while strengthening community-led responses. Appreciating the implied light financial requirements, governments will have to...
And it should be strategic in order to combat HIV and AIDS.
In order to achieve our objective to end AIDS in children by 2030. I believe the launch of the Global Alliance is a step in the right direction. I therefore call upon each one of us to embrace the plans, marshal the resources, and move to a high implementation gear. We must not remain complacent, as 2030 is at our doorstep. In order to make this alliance meaningful and successful in reality, we in Africa must continue to take deliberate measures to put in place the necessary policies and strategies, build capacities, and continuously monitor and evaluate progress. I have no doubt it can be done. What is needed is full commitment of will and purpose. However, we must also have plans to protect our children, women and adolescents from unnecessary and risky exposures, such as early marriages, sexual violence, and all traditions that put them at risk, including female genital mutilation. Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude my remarks, may I take this opportunity to thank all partners who have been working with us here in Tanzania in the health sector, and in particular with regard to the drive to achieve AIDS-related global targets. It is our humble plea that we continue to work together until we achieve our goals in fighting against AIDS. I wish to invite all our friends of Africa, other partners with advanced technologies, know-how, and financial capabilities to join us, especially on technology transfer, capacity building, research and data management, in order to develop sustainable and appropriate means to deal with the challenge at hand. Lastly, I urge my fellow African leaders to commit to this noble cause and demonstrate political leadership that will set the tone for the agreed priority actions to be taken in order to build on the momentum to end AIDS in children in our continent by 2030. Once again, thank you for giving me this time to deliver remarks on behalf of Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania. I now have the honor to formally declare open the ministerial launch of the new Global Alliance to End AIDS in Children by 2030 in our region. Let us make promises made in Montreal a reality. I thank you for your kind attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and applaud. Congratulations. And as we take our seats, I'm going to call for a photo op. And once again, I'd just like to, please take your seats. Thank you. Just like to let you know that the Vice President, our guest of honor, is leaving a little bit earlier than expected. And so we apologize for having shifted the program, but we will continue with it. As soon as he's gone, the Honorable Minister, the High Table will return. And so here are the pictures. Ministers of Health and representatives, please may I welcome you forward. Ras Dar es Salaam and Deputy Permanent Secretary, Poral, please join us on this picture. And the Chairman of the Parliamentary Committee, HIV and AIDS, please join us for the first photo on stage. Please enter through left and you will exit behind me, please. Honorable Ministers, please come through. You may leave your personal effects in your chair. We're going to call next after this the UN Family, Global Fund and PEPFAR. You will have your own special picture. Please mind the sockets on the floor as you come up. Please stand behind the chairs. Please stand behind the chairs. So all Ministers of Health and their representatives, the Ras Dar es Salaam, Permanent Secretary, Prime Minister's Office, Chairman of the Parliamentary Committee, in this picture as well. As you exit to my left, I'm going to get an indication just now from the UN Family, Global Fund and PEPFAR. Please prepare, please begin to step out of your chairs. And please move towards the end, towards the stairs. Thank you very much, Honorable Ministers. We appreciate your patience. And once again, respectfully, we'll say that everybody will get a chance as per program, but we've had to allow our guest of honor to depart a little bit earlier as he's traveling. Thank you very much. And so the UN Family, Global Fund and PEPFAR, please come through. Please line up.